and welcome to Columbine Spiritual Center, where centered in God, we celebrate a world of harmony, peace, and abundance for all. We hope you'll join us today on this last Sunday of Black History Month, and let the Spirit move you. To have the Larson clan with us today, and we're going to bring Josh and Seth up to do the second song with us. This is one of my favorite all-time hymns and spirituals, a Gula Geechee hymn. Everybody knows this one.
We all know this one. Kumbaya, my Lord. Someone's crying, my Lord, Kumbaya. Someone's crying, Lord, Kumbaya. Someone's crying, Lord, Kumbaya. Oh. Someone's praying, Lord, kumbaya. Oh Lord, kumbaya.
Thank you so much.
Janice, what does kumbaya mean?
Come by me, Lord.
Come by me,
Come
Lord.
by.
And so I want to invite you to, as I light this candle, consider lighting a candle for yourselves. It's a great reminder of our nature as spiritual beings, the light. We're going to move into some time of prayer this morning where you can think of prayer as inviting Spirit to come by us, to work through us. And so let's start by taking a nice deep breath. Remember that prayer is a time to come away for a while. And so no matter what's going on in your life today, in general, this is your opportunity to rest in Spirit, to recognize that you are the living expression of Spirit. And as such, as we come into this present moment, you are supported, you are inspired, you are guided by Spirit. It's time to let go. Let go of that need to control, that need to be in charge, that need to welcome this and reject that. Just allow yourself to be here now. This is where it's at. This is where we get to fully experience life and what it means to be alive. And no matter what it is that life throws at us, as this spiritual being that we are, we'll be able to handle it. We do handle it. We handle it with a certain ease and grace. We learn to be more than we thought that we were or could be as we simply engage with the moment. As we pause in this quiet place, I invite you to bring to mind anyone on your personal prayer list. Bring to mind anyone on Columbine's prayer list. We can actually bring into this space all of our spiritual community and even the greater community all the way to the world. Allowing this present moment and all that it is for us to touch and support all other souls walking the planet, helping them to feel themselves as the light, to know that everything that is needed in this moment is provided. And as we bring this time to a close, we simply express our gratitude. Thank you, God. Thank you, God. And so it is. Amen.
Wow. You're in for a treat now. We're so honored to have the Larson family in full force with us today. And just as part of this community, they're such amazing pillars. And I get to be an unofficial member of the family on this one.
Official. It is official. Come and wake this heart of stone. Breathe new life into these bones. Call me lovely, call me true. You make me lovely just like you. So, hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Because love will come. Yeah, love will come. And every time you call my name, all my worries, they go away. I sail across the ocean blue. I keep sailing home to you. So hold on. Hold on. Yeah. Hold on. Because love will come. Yeah. Love will come. Love will come. Love will come. Love will come. The world, it don't feel right. Love would win if it would fight. The world, it don't feel right. You know love would win if it would fight. Well, yeah. The world, it don't feel right. Love would win if it would fight. The world, it don't feel right. Love would win if it would fight. So hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Because love will come. Hold on. Love will come. Hold on. Love will come. Hold on. Love will come. Love will.
That's Seth Larson, Josh Larson, Steve Larson. Woo!
Thanks, guys. That was really beautiful. So good to have you here today. A friend of mine tells a funny story on himself. Years ago, he needed to drop his son off at daycare on his way to work. They were already off to a late start. I think many of us can relate to that. When, as they approached a railroad crossing, the lights started flashing and the mechanical arms come down. And my friend said that he immediately felt himself tightening up and beginning to go through the journey to both the daycare and from there to his office. And is there any way that he could find a shortcut or cut some time, because he had a lot to do that day at work and did not want to be late. And as he's finding himself in that mental process, he hears from the back seat, "Dad, look, there's a train coming. I love trains." And my friend said, "Oh my God, if it hadn't been for my son, I would have totally missed the moment." And isn't it true? His son was right here, right now, not missing anything that was going on around him, whereas my friend was off in the future, influenced also by the past, right? Some need to be at work, some need to what? Be showing his value, or maybe there had been some kind of punishment for not showing up on time, and way off into the future. This is what so often happens to us. And we not only miss the train, but what we really miss is that we as spiritual beings, we connect to who and what we are, to our true nature, to that nature as a spiritual being, only in the moment. Spirit is only operative in this moment. And while Spirit is being Spirit, we miss it if we're living in the past or off in the future. And I think the other really interesting thing is that in those times when we're so invested, on taking charge and making sure that we get what we want, often if we can just relax just as it should. So this week I was reading an email that I received from Unity World Headquarters, where they were showing an expert or presenting an expert of a Unity minister, Mary Kupferle. Mary, she's passed away now. She passed away in 2003, I believe, but she was ordained in the early 50s. Taking an excerpt from her book, let me see if I can find it, Truth Be Told, which was written in the late 50s, about the year that I was born. And in this book, I found this so interesting. She said if there was only one truth that she could hold on to, only one truth that she could remind herself of through affirmation, it would be the light will dawn. I love that. When you reflect, for example, last week, Sue quoted the Bible and saying, "This too shall pass." And always when I hear that, it feels like, okay, I can just sort of get through this. But when I hear that the light will dawn, it gives us the invitation to be engaged right with where we are, because it's right here that the light will dawn, that the Spirit comes forth, the Spirit as the light, as the love, as the intelligence, as everything that is Spirit comes forth as we're willing to be right here, right now. She says, relax and drop all anxiety about how the light will dawn, how the problems will be solved. The loving Father will reveal to you the right solution at just the right time. God will open up the best ways and bring about the best results. Now remember, this was written back in the early 50s. We've come a long way in our understanding of consciousness and our understanding of spirit. She's speaking as if this Father, this God outside of us, will make this happen. But the truth is that this flow that is Spirit in us is always working to not only support us in our daily living, but also the greater spirit, this God, if we call it such, the universe, is unfolding a life that also invites us to break open and to be all that we can be. Now, what's fun is back in those days, and this is the unity that I grew up in, you just commanded yourself to relax. Just relax. We know a lot more now, don't we? That in fact, if you can stay with what's happening, and if you can be curious about, and why am I responding this way? What's happening in me, and why? That we then actually, through understanding, begin to relax. A real relaxation, not a forced, okay, I'm relaxed. And as we relax, we inevitably come back to this moment. We're working here in this community with Elizabeth Lesser's book, Broken Open. And I love the byline, or the subtitle of this book, How Difficult Times Can Help Us Grow. We're in week 5 of our exploration, and this week we're looking at pages 86 through 101. And as I read through this material, and not only reflected on it, but reflected on many of the different, I guess you could call them chapters, they feel like sections of reading to me, all of them are inviting us into this moment. And it is in this moment, remember, where it's happening, where we are supported and in fact expressing spirit. So they start out in the first section how, let's see, where is it? A broken heart is an open heart, with the story of a rabbi. And maybe Janice, do you know this guy's name? Yehuda? Does that sound about right? Yeah, Yehuda. So Yehuda's in a very unfortunate head-on car accident that leaves his body broken. And after a 4-hour surgery, he then has to spend the next 7 months in bed. And he's really helpless in that space. He can't sit up on his own. He can't bathe himself. He can't get up to go to the bathroom. He needs help with everything. And he talks about suffering. And it's interesting, he makes a clear distinction that he was under pain management, and while I'm sure there was some pain, that part was handled. But what was happening for him was the emotional suffering, to know that his life would never be the same. He said that one of the things that he learned, one of the secrets, he said, was not to fight the pain, but to embrace it. That initially we all tend to constrict around pain. We want to get through it. This too shall pass, right? But as he began to embrace it, then his life began to change. He writes, to heal, I knew I had to be fully in the present and drop everything I thought I was, everything that I thought I was going to do with my life. See, this is the past coming forward, right? That so often what brings us suffering is when our life doesn't align with the ideas that we have for our life. And remember that the ideas that we have for our life so often are limiting. They've come from the culture that we grew in. They've come from family dynamics or family messages about who and what we should be. But is that the pure potential of what and who we should be? We can only know if we open to the Spirit, open to this movement within us. And so as Yuda exploded or open to this, he writes, when Christ has exploded in my life, the best in me was born. The best in him was born. And, you know, what I was sort of expecting was that he was going to write about, oh, you know, I went from being a rabbi to some great, you know, peacekeeper in the world, or, you know, I became a doctor or something. But no, he didn't once mention an end result. Instead, He talked about the fact that while he'd had a history of not enjoying being alone, that he found that as he became present, as he was willing to explore his own suffering, what were these ideals that he had about who and what he should be? Why was it so difficult for him to just open up to, well, okay, my body's not the same. Who and what will I be now? That he found that he was never alone. He never felt alone, that there was a presence that carried him. He talked about the fact that despite the suffering that he was going through, that he felt joyous. He talked about how he was able to connect in a loving way with everyone that he met. And the courage that was there to stand in the not knowing of who and what he would become. You see, these are all qualities of spirit. These are the reasons that we want to be in the moment. That if we're not in the moment, if we're back living from the past or dreaming about the future, we're cutting ourselves off from the very thing that we are. This amazing mystery that is spirit. This week, in Release and Renew, which is Unity's Lenten book this year, the subject for today is now. And for this, they take us back to Jesus hanging on the cross. Quite a now moment, right? And a now moment filled with physical suffering. And they remind us that on either side of Jesus were two men. Doesn't really matter that they were men, two people, both hanging on their own crosses. And for the interpretation today, they draw on I can say it. And do I even have it here? Yes, there it is. I found it. Mark Anthony Lord. And his book is The 7 Living Words. So this interpretation is pulled from the 7 Living Words. And it says, when we're in a crisis of transformation, oh, by the way, I should remind you of something. You can leave that up, but one of the people hanging on one side would represent the past by this interpretation, and the other would represent the future. And Jesus represents the now. Why is that? Because Jesus metaphysically is our spiritual nature, our true nature, and it is, as I said before, only active in the now. We're only living that in the now. So here's what Mark Anthony Lord says. When we're in a crisis of transformation, the past and the future may both weigh heavy on us. Our ideas of how life is supposed to be, formed from our past experiences and expectations, have collapsed, and the future seems dark and uncertain. Now, that sounds bad, but this is the gift of being broken open, right? That these strong ideas of formed from the past, of who we're supposed to be, collapse. And the challenge is that the future seems dark and uncertain. But if we experience support in being with that, courage and strength and power, then that unknown becomes incredible potential. And so Jesus says simply to these two people hanging on either side of him, today you will be with me in paradise. This difficult situation invites you into the moment, and here you will find paradise. We're not going to lift the difficulty out of it, but in the midst of the suffering, you can find joy. In the midst of the not knowing, you can find clarity. There's guidance. There's love. there's grace. It's all potentialed here in the moment. And Mark Anthony Lord writes, paradise can only be experienced in the now present moment. Often our fear of the unknown comes from our fear that we will lose something of value. But in our faith, we know that there is never anything lost in God. Jesus' works confirm that only good shall remain. And isn't this the truth? As we are able to engage with life and we look back on the experiences of our life, they're always inviting us into greater and greater freedom, greater and greater understanding, into greater and greater alignment with what is true for us. I want to jump to the last section of our reading entitled Crooked Hearts, and it's about a woman named Sharon. And Sharon already knows that there's something amiss in her life. In fact, the chapter opens with these words. These are her words. On the outside, I was the wife of a doctor, the mother of 2 sons, a respected professional. She was a successful psychotherapist. But on the inside, my marriage was in terrible state. My work had lost its sense of meaning. My kids had grown up. I felt as if I was treading water in a stagnant pond. I did not really know how to go on. These are sure signs of the activity of our ego, messing with our life. Yes, we don't totally lose connection with the fact that, we don't necessarily totally lose connection with the fact that we're not happy in our life, that our life is not somehow satisfying, not meeting our needs. And yet, the ego has this wonderful way of leaving us feeling unclear. And remember, when we're in the ego, we're somehow in the future or in the past. And so we're cut off from these qualities like clarity. We're cut off from strength and courage, the kinds of things that allow us to take action. And so we just sort of stay. I'm not happy, but I don't really know what to do, and so I'm just here. But funny, not really here, not in this moment. I'm off on either side, but not in the middle. Certainly not experiencing paradise. And so what happens for Sharon is her 20-year-old son dies, and she's wrecked. It would wreck any of us, right? She never imagined that he would die before her. She is filled with grief and a sense of loss. She's, feels like her own life is coming to an end when suddenly something breaks open in her. Now, I will tell you that you get the definite impression, in fact, in many of these stories that are shared in this book, you get the definite impression that these people are working with someone, right? Working with another professional that can help guide them, that can help bring them back to this moment, help bring them back to, but what are you experiencing? What does it feel like? Why do you think you're experiencing that? And it broke her open. And she was able, and these are sure signs of being in the moment and the qualities of spirit rising. The courage arose for her to ask for a separation from her husband. Now, this is another key point. When it's ego in charge, it's often clear the slate. Okay, I'm quitting my job. I'm divorcing my husband. It's all over. Spirit has the ability to go in and to discern and to adjust. And so she left her husband for actually a number of years, but came back to him, not as a doctor's wife, but as Sharon, someone who had some sense of who she was, not just a mother, not just a doctor's wife, not just a psychotherapist. She was able to branch out from psychotherapy and actually became an award-winning poet and author. Quite a change from a psychotherapist. You see, life broke her open. And she somehow was open to the break. Elizabeth Lesser, I quoted last time, said that as many people as she interviewed for this book, Broken Open, who had really allowed themselves to be broken open, who had broken out of that way that the ego tends to tighten us down around problems and say, we need to take charge, that there were just as many people that never could break open. And she talked about the level of cynicism and she had several different words to describe these people that were stuck and frustrated and angry and yet could do nothing about it. Being in the moment is much easier said than done. Check it out. I could challenge you right now. I want you to spend the next 3 minutes just being right here where you are. It's funny, it's humbling, but it's very difficult. Interestingly enough, our spiritual practice supports us in being in the moment, particularly meditation. And I also have found that inquiry, they both have allowed me to develop a focus and a concentration beyond the activity of my mind. But this week I read a very interesting study by a gentleman named Dr. David Vago. I think it's Vago or Vago. Anyway, he studies mindfulness and meditation's impact on our nervous system and specifically on the brain. And the study that I read was about, and I know just enough to be dangerous, meta-awareness, which is our nervous system. And if I'm remembering correctly, I realized I read this article, and and I wrote down the guy's name and then I couldn't find the article again. Can be the challenge of the internet for me. But what I remember him saying was that each of us in a minute can experience like 1 billion different stimulus that come in so many different ways. And our nervous system at an unconscious level processes that, rejects what doesn't want, not important, adjusts the body to what is important, may adjust our positioning or whatever. Do you know consciously we can only handle about 60 bits of information consciously in a minute? But this thing is processing like 1 billion. So we are only conscious of a fraction of what's going on. So he was curious about how this meta-awareness responded to pain and difficulty. And so he got a whole series, a cross-section of both meditators and non-meditators. And they sat in front of a computer screen, and on that screen was broadcast words associated with pain, both emotional pain and physical pain, but they were broadcast so quickly that to the conscious mind, you just saw a blip of light. It could not be read, but to the meta-conscious or meta-awareness could pick up on it. Interesting results. Overwhelmingly, those that did not have any training or practice of mindfulness, of meditation, literally turned away from the screen. Didn't know why they turned away from the screen. Maybe they were feeling some discomfort, but turned away. Those that meditated, whether they were brand new at meditation, whether they'd been at meditation for a lifetime, no matter what meditation practice, overwhelmingly stayed with the screen. And in a follow-up experiment study, that he referenced, they tested 5,000 people just following along with their lives, both meditators and non-meditators. And those that meditated, they watched how they responded to interruption. They were able to be present to an interruption. They were able to process, let go of anything that needed to be going, deal with what needed to be dealt with, and could get right back to what was going on in their life. Those that had no background in mindfulness or meditation took on average 38 minutes to get back to where they began. Got distracted, moved off to other things, couldn't process what the distraction was, ruminated over fears on the unknown. I mean, he just went on the benefits of meditation. So we get to see that our very nervous system and our brain are wired not to be in the moment. That's fascinating, isn't it? They're wired to really protect us from being flooded in the moment by feeling. But that development didn't understand that we're not just human beings, but we're spiritual beings. And that when we find ourselves in the moment, that's where we are totally supported in life. And so we're back. Remember, we started this study of this book with me challenging you to recommit yourself to your spiritual practice. It can be as short as 5 minutes a day. You know, Ray Winfield, you can participate in Ray Winfield's meditation on Tuesday night virtually. You don't even have to leave your home. And by doing so, you're supporting yourself in accepting the invitation to live in paradise. Life is going to continue to challenge us. We often see it as a bad thing, but the truth is, it is an expression of love. Because the Spirit, as you, wants to be free, wants to experience what you as a unique expression, what your potential is, and thus what its potential is as you. It loves you so much. We can wait around to be broken open and hope that we're one of those ones that does break open, that doesn't constrict around our life so much that we're just bitter and disappointed with life. Or we can engage not only in being curious about what's happening in our life, but also in our spiritual practice, so that we literally can be present to what's going on, no matter what's trying to rock our boat. Your life is truly a wonder. And the light is working to dawn through you. Let's make sure that we all accept that invitation. To support us in that, I want to invite you into some meditation with me today. If you've been with me for the talks that I've done in this series, I want to invite you just into simple meditation with me. In meditation, we aren't just reviewing our to-do list, but we're learning to place our focus and our attention on something other than the activity of our mind. And so I invite you to maybe put your attention on the gentle in and out movement of your breath. Or if you're familiar with it, to bring your focus to your cost center that center that's approximately 2 inches in from your belly button and 3 inches down, or 3 fingers down, 2 fingers in, 3 fingers down, or as I said last time with COVID, it's probably a few more fingers in for me. Just let yourself begin to quiet. And in a few moments, I will come back and just invite you back to this quiet focus. But if you find yourself wandering, no judgment, just come back. Check in where you are now. Gently come back to the breath or come back to the cost center.
One day you may find yourself with a different problem. One day you could find yourself with another plan. It might be just what you need to begin a new life. It might be the thing you need to bring you to light. You would never know this. You would never know this. You would never know this. One small choice is all you need to change your perspective. One small choice is all you need to begin to grow. It could be that life will bring everything you hoped for. It could be that you and me will find love again. You would never know this. You would never know this. You would never know this. You would never know. Time will tell, so might as well get to where you're going. Time will tell, so might as well live the life you choose. All this time you search your mind to predict the future. All this time you try to find where this all will lead. You would never know this. 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 You would never know. I have something to tell you. You may already know that sometimes life will take you places you don't wanna go. So keep an open heart and have an open mind, because you never know what treasures you are going to find.
The Larson family, Seth, Josh, and Steve. I think your mom's taking care of your dog, right?
I was going to say that I think one of the number one things I miss in the pandemic is dancing to something underground. Oh. It's going to make me cry. But how much I miss that. Ooh, pull it together. So this is the time in our service where we so thankfully, so gratefully receive your offerings and your gifts. And this community is such a gift to all of us. So every time we get checks in the mail, or we look at our PayPal, or the giving that comes in through Breeze, and we just know that you are there providing for us so that we can continue to do this and bring, this amazing music and the incredible message today, and the transformation that happens. It happens because each of you is willing to give. And without that giving, we can't do it. So thank you for being part of the flow. Thank you for allowing us to be part of the flow. And let's say our offertory blessing together. God's love has always met and will always meet all my needs. I give freely, I receive abundantly, and I am grateful. We've got a lot of things coming up for us, but if you're here with Columbine for the first time or second time, or you've been coming for a while virtually and you're thinking, I really want to get the e-bulletin or the update, or I want to know more about what's going on, we'd love for you to go to the website. There is a contact form that you can fill out, and either Sue or I will personally reach out to you. And I'm Rachel, I'm the Director of Community Care here, and my big hat that I wear, the big one, is to help you however I can to connect at Columbine, whether you live across the country or here in Boulder, and we want to just have you be part of the community in lots of ways. So there's lots of ways coming up, so here we are ramping into spring. But first I just want to say thank you for everybody who came last Sunday. The weather really worked out for us, and we were able to have an amazing Sunday of Love party. We have on one of those little pictures is the Valentines that the Youth and Family Ministry families sent to us, and Jeannie had secretly asked them to send us Valentines, and we got all these Valentines, and then we made Valentines for the community, and we had so much fun last week. That was amazing. We missed each other. So if you had participated in the, it wasn't the blessing, Radical Compassion program, we learned the RAIN process. recognize, allow, investigate, and nurture. And Scott is going to be leading another group of the RAIN process via Zoom. It's going to begin on the 17th of March. It's Wednesday evenings, every other Wednesday for 6 sessions. So if you want to deepen your relationship with yourself and have other people help you to really get in there and process and allow yourself to break open, I really encourage you to join this group. The registration form is in the e-bulletin that came out today, in the update, and on the calendar for the March 17th. The next thing is the first Sunday in May, I believe it's the 2nd, is our annual meeting. And we're going to be voting in 2 new alternates for the board. And if you are interested in becoming a voting member for that, then we have a path to voting membership. If you are just interested in Columbine and about the unity movement, we would also love you to take these classes. So if you took some last year and you didn't quite finish up, or you want to take them again, you're welcome to any of them. So we have History of New Thought, the 5 Unity Principles, Personal Transformation, and the Columbine's Core Values. So we would love for you to join us for those. Those are going to be on Tuesday nights, starting on the 23rd of March. Again, if you have any questions, let me know. Lastly, the Renew and Release Lenten booklet is available here at Columbine to purchase. Or if you can't purchase, you can just come get one. And I'm here Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. I will put some out in the bin, which is out by the front door. So right by the front door, when you walk up to Columbine, is a little plastic container that has all kinds of unity things in it, lots of great booklets. And although we could bundle up and have a service outside because it is sunny, it's a lot colder than you think. So no outdoor service today.
Especially when you have to use your fingers.
Right. Janice's fingers go numb, so that's not good. And then we have fellowship. So if you'd like to have fellowship with your fellow Columbine friends after service at 12:30, follow the link in the bulletin today. Okay.
Awesome. Well, I don't know that we ever get to have this kind of lineup to sing our peace song. But let's do it together, you guys. Thanks to everybody who made this service so special, and we'll see you soon.
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be with God. Surrounds us, the love of God enfolds us, the power of God protects us, the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well.
We love you.
We love you. Have a great week, everybody. See you soon. Peace.